Hello guys, Alessio of Leading Trader. So Bitcoin has been dropping, and as we all know, whenever Bitcoin drops, what happens? Yes, the mainstream media and all the articles, the financial articles, get back to all that hyped up news. They're clickbaiting and fear mongering as always. For example, here's an article just published recently. Bitcoin's bad week just got worse. And here's another one for you. Bitcoin is slumping, and analysts say there are three big reasons for the fear and panic. Yes, guys, there's nothing more that sells newspapers and, of course, makes people click on articles than fear and panic, believe me. But here's one thing I want you to remember, that whenever there's fear and panic in the market, always remember the famous phrases and the famous words from J.D. Rockefeller, who said that the way to make money is to buy when there's blood on the streets. And what that essentially means, as I'm sure you're aware, is that whenever there's panic and fear in a market, yes, guys, there is also opportunities, buying opportunities. In fact, one of my favorite investors of all time, Warren Buffett. And by the way, I don't know why so many people don't like Warren Buffett. I think he's an absolute genius. Now, whether you like him or not, the fact is he is the world's richest share investor for a good reason. He actually gives some of the best advice that I know about investing. And one of the best advice he has ever given is this, which is whenever there is bad news, that is great news, good news for you as investors. Remember, bad news is good news for us as investors, long-term investors who are looking for value. Why? Because any bad news, like for example, anything that drives prices down, like it did in Bitcoin here, as Bitcoin here dropped by 70%. Now, sure, that's going to scare off the dumb money who bought at prices when they're expensive, but that's great news for you as smart money buying at key levels in the market. All right, being prepared and being patient for bad news to come into the market and buying at great value, that is great news. All right, so what does this drop here in Bitcoin actually mean now? It's been dropping actually below its lows, the lows that we mentioned in a previous video of 9,300. So what's going on here? So let's go back to the previous video that I posted on this. And in my previous video last week, what I said was that I was looking for two potential scenarios on Bitcoin. One of them was this one, which I'll explain in a few moments, and one of them was this one. So this was plan B, this was plan A. And by now, I'm sure you appreciate why we look at both potential scenarios, because all professional investors and all professional traders always are prepared for any scenario. If you look back at my previous video that I posted, and I would highly recommend you watch this video again on the 5 words every Bitcoin trader investor must remember. And what I said there is that every trader and investor must always be prepared for anything the market throws at them. Remember, fortune favors the prepared mind, okay, as the famous phrase says. Now, so in my previous video, what I said was that I was expecting, this is my preferred scenario, this was my higher probability scenario, which was that I was expecting Bitcoin to hold these levels and then make another push higher above these previous highs of 11,750 in a new potential wave 3. As it turns out, it did not work out that way. We just did not see much follow through or indeed much demand coming through to push it above those levels, which means now this potential scenario that I showed you in my previous video now comes into play in a potential ABC move happening on Bitcoin. And by the way, you know who got this right? I did not get it right, but guess who did? My good friend Simon Shepard, who publishes his crypto report for our premium members, he got this absolutely bang on correct on Sunday. On Sunday, he published his crypto report and he said to our members that he expected Bitcoin to find resistance at these levels, and this would be a shorting opportunity, in fact, for Bitcoin to head lower. In fact, this was his projection on Bitcoin down to these levels, which, by the way, is exactly what you're seeing on the chart now on Bitcoin. And by the way, if you're not familiar with Simon, he's one of the smartest people I know. He's a mathematician by profession. And of course, he trades Bitcoin. He has a profound interest in cryptocurrencies. So let's take a look at the charts now. And as I showed you in that particular chart here, and this was my projection last week. So I said last week that if we couldn't get anything going to the upside, if we couldn't go above these previous highs, then we could expect something that looks like this in a potential ABC corrective move on the market. In case you're not familiar with what this is, according to Elliott wave theory, market corrections are formed of 3 waves. Okay, always remember that most corrections in a market are formed of 3 waves, what's called ABC. Okay, which means that if this is our potential wave 1, then we should expect a wave 2 correction, and this appears to be the wave 2 correction. Originally, we thought that wave 2 potentially ended here. We thought, you know what, maybe this is wave 2 has completed there. But actually, it looks like it didn't do that. And this now appears to be our wave 2, which means what? Which means once this wave 2 correction completes, according to Elliott wave theory, we should then expect the wave 3 move coming and pushing us higher. Okay, so going back to the chart of Bitcoin. By the way, look at the chart right now, and you'll see that as prices have been dropping, look at the RSI. Relative strength index here is actually oversold on this setting I'm using here of 295.5. So I've got oversold RSI. By the way, notice something quite interesting, that RSI gets overbought here. You see that overbought RSI? Look at that, coincided with that overbought top on Bitcoin. RSI got overbought there too. Look at that. Top on Bitcoin. RSI got oversold here. Boom. Look at that. That was near the bottom on Bitcoin as a reverse direction. So whenever I see the RSI getting oversold, something like that, I get interested. That shows a likely reversal point on the market. Okay, so just to briefly summarize this up, what I believe is happening here is this is very likely, to me, this is an ABC correction. We can just label it here. A, B, and likely potential C wave, all right, of this wave 2. And just to show you this as well, on MT4, and most charts have this too, you can go here and put something called Fibonacci retracement. Fantastic tool, by the way. And what you want to do is basically just drag, left click on the chart and drag from the low to the high. And it then draws you these Fibonacci levels. All right. And by the way, if you're not familiar with Fibonacci, it's not important right now. But bottom line is keep paying attention to these two levels on the chart. Let me show you what they are. And the two levels you want to pay attention to are the 38.2% and the 61.8%, especially the 61.8%. It's called the golden ratio, because often markets retrace down to that golden ratio, the 61.8% retrace, before seeing another bounce higher, okay? So, as I said before in a previous video, these are key levels to watch between 8,700 to 8,200, and it seems now we've reversed and indeed corrected down to those levels. And by the way, looking at the chart right now, it seems to have bounced. It seems to be bouncing from those levels as well. Bottom line is, if I see Bitcoin coming down to this 61.8% retrace, the 8,200 level there, we should likely expect buying pressure coming through, investors jumping in and holding these levels and then protecting these levels on Bitcoin and then pushing it back higher again. And as I said before, and as Warren Buffett said, bad news is good news for investors. All right, guys, I just want to bring this to your attention, which is that on Monday evening, Monday, 8 p.m. GMT UK time or 3 p.m. Eastern time, I'm doing a live and exclusive webinar, an interview with Bitcoin millionaire and crypto expert Edward. Again, this is a guy who's made over $5 million in Bitcoin. And I'm going to basically ask him whether he still sticks by his long-term projection, his shocking projection for Bitcoin, and which cryptocurrencies is he actually looking at right now, and what he sees next for the crypto market. Again, we're going to ask him about Ripple, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and of course you can ask him any question you have as well. Now, this is a members only webinar for our premium members, which means if you're not a premium member, I highly recommend you try it out, give it a go. Go to this link here or go to the link in the description box, become a member, and I'll see you guys in the webinar. And guys, if this video has been of help and if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and remember to subscribe to our video so you don't miss our next updates on Bitcoin as well. Thanks very much indeed, and bye for now. See you at the webinar.